With the flowers in bloom and the spring sun starting to shine, we're all, of course, beginning to wonder what this summer will have in store. In particular, will the torrential rain and misery of last year be repeated? Well, today, the Met Office delivered its long-range forecast for June to August 2008. Their provisional verdict, a return to the traditional British summer of 3 fine days and then a thunderstorm. They say rainfall will be higher than average and there'll be more unsettled spells, and temperatures will also be above the normal levels. They also warn that although the risk of torrential rainfall on the same scale as last year remains low, a repeat of what happened isn't impossible.
Over the last 5 years, these are some of the weather extremes we've experienced during British summertime. From the sweltering heatwave of 2003 to the UK's fatal floods of last summer, after which some people still remain homeless. The problem is, without a crystal ball, it's very difficult to say in advance whether last year's flooding misery will be repeated. This time last year, the Met Office said there was no indication of an increased risk of a particularly wet summer. But their chief forecaster was at pains to point out today that such extremes are impossible to see so far in advance.
To predict an extreme event like last summer is extremely difficult, and we don't have that capability at the moment. All we can say is that such events occur very rarely, and there is always a possibility.
So you can't rule it out?
We cannot rule it out.
That's of little comfort to people like Richard Perry from Gloucester, one of many who's still living in a caravan after his home was flooded last year.
We're fully apprehensive all the time. You're forever then looking, waiting for it. You see a puddle in the street and you think, oh Lord. And you get past the 2-day mark of raining and you think, are we going to flood again? And it is depressing.
The Met Office will update their long-term forecast in a month's time. But for now, they say they can only really be more certain about what's going to happen to our weather some 10 days in advance.
The fact is, today's guidance is not necessarily much good to the likes of you and me if we're, say, planning what day to have a camping holiday or a summer barbecue. But for the government's long-term planners and for the 48,000 people whose homes were flooded last year, any indication at all of what's to come is better than none.